morning to you out there. The long-awaited Friday is finally here. It's the 29th day in the month of August. Well, this is the People's Court, and as a brainchild of the movement of Voice for Democracy. The program is about Nigeria. It's about Nigerians building and rebuilding Nigeria. And that cannot happen if we do not underscore some of the anomalies going on and try to correct them. We raise topical issues that affect us as individuals, as families, and as a nation. And today, the issue is privatization and the way it affects every one of us. I have the pleasure to introduce to you the initiator and promoter of Movement of Voice for Democracy, Movers Nigeria, and the forum advocate, Mr. Ifeanyi Okonkwo. Good morning, sir.
Distinguished citizens, the People's Court is now in session. My name is Ifeanyi Okonkwo, and I'm your forum advocate.
I am Chizoba Chukwudi.
Fellow citizens, in the conversation this morning, there's the issue of taking the state, federal, and the local government and private individuals to the People's Court on the issue of education and access to professional courses by the children of the poor, that is, people from low-income families. Fellow citizens, I will want to draw from the wealth of knowledge of people who have made contributions in the system, and they are the watershed in the discourse. Citizens, I will draw from the inspirational discussion and commentaries of a learned author, the name Maximilien Robert Spierre, is a Frenchman, who said, and I quote, "The secret of freedom lies in educating the people, whereas the secret of tyranny is in keeping the people ignorant," unquote. Fellow citizens, poverty in Nigeria remains dominant despite high economic growth, and Nigeria is projected as having the highest economic growth rate in the world. That is the average growth rate of 7.4%. That is from the United Nations Millennium Development Report in 2013. Nigeria is blessed with oil and gas and plenty of other natural resources. According to the United Nations report, poverty is denial of opportunities and choices most basic to human development to lead a long, healthy, creative life and to enjoy a decent standard of living with freedom, dignity, self-esteem, and respect from others, and the rule of law. That is the summation of poverty. Poverty is not because you have no meal on your table. When your dream dies, you are a poor person.
Okay.
The children of the poor having access in Nigeria to professional courses in our universities is the issue in People's Court this morning. And we are inducting the general public, the federal government, the states, and the local government, and the missions for abandoning the poor. In our universities, most of the people who pursue courses in our universities are people who can afford to pay for university education in Nigeria. And that takes us to the issue, how do you assess the elite courses, the professional courses that will also make the people who come from poor families as equal citizens? The children of the poor's access to professional courses in our universities must be pursued through consistent entry qualification standard accompanied with grants and student loan programs, these are definitely not interchangeable with Presidential Special Scholarship Scheme available to graduates who have obtained first-class honors degree from recognized approved universities. Under the administration of the military president Ibrahim Babangida, the then federal government of Nigeria, under the watch of Professor Jibril Aminu, introduced a new educational policy styled Integrated System of Education of 6334 system. Their reasons were for quality content in teaching of introductory technology, being a realistic, diversified program and cost-effective. The fundamental facts that inform their adoption of 6334 system in the Nigeria educational policy then were canvassed as follows. The emphasis from the liberal arts to science and technology, to the extent that our students will be capable of working with parts fabricated with machines in our polytechnics, to enable the nation meet its manpower requirements in various areas of social, economic, and political growth, as well as development and modernization to which Nigeria aspires. The 6334 system of education had a commission for nomadic education established for the children of nomadic parents, including fishermen and women. Nigerian government emphasis was on the guiding the students to enable them choose the career for which each individual is best suited early in life and based on the students' demonstrated aptitude and potential after the first 9 years of continuous education assessment. The Nigerian government failed to provide institutions for training of special teachers, such as for the handicapped, difficult students, gifted children, more importantly, specialist teachers in science and mathematics and psychology to be attached, deployed to rural schools, but paid by the joint funds of the states, federal government to create a level playing field for all students irrespective of parental economic disposition. Fellow citizens, the discourse this morning concerns equality in education, equality in access to courses in our universities. The effect we have felt so far, and nobody is complaining, is that the vice chancellors of our universities administer admission fees in areas of medicine, law, environmental science, engineering for the highest bidder, ranging for whatever they call admission provisions for the helping the schools to have some fun. They ask for the prospective students to pay 500, 1,000, or 1 million or 1.5 million naira, depending on who is your contact. The question that calls for answer as follows in this tribunal this morning. What was the original philosophy of our political leaders that established higher education, which saw the need to create universities? Whether higher education as was designed today for the children of the rich and powerful in Nigeria. The creation of the National Universities Commission and its new expansionist role in our higher education has aborted the original dream of promoters of higher education in Nigeria. Can the purported vision of the National Universities Commission and I quote, to be a dynamic regulatory agency acting as a catalyst for the positive change and innovation for the delivery of quality university education, unquote, be the answer? There is urgent need for integration for the children of the poor to gain equality in access to professional courses in our universities. the answer to the agitation of the children from the poor families for access to higher education and freedom to pursue professional courses shall include to make the financing of university education affordable to those groups through deliberate government policies. And I recommend that is the policy of every state having federal university the answer to the growing denial or the demand of children of the poor access to university education and the freedom of choice for professional courses? The answer is no. Who are the stakeholders in our university investments in higher education? Our universities boards have become centers for contract and non-creative thinking models leading to poor institutional building. Those Nigerians who studied on public funds, liberal education grants, community scholarship grants, Commonwealth nations and federal government educational grant programs, who are today the administrators of government policies, under the policy of educational disadvantaged students, have shut the gate against the children of the poor from access to professional courses in our universities. I ask the question, how many children of the taxi drivers, the keke drivers, and the other sundry laborers today will have a vision that their children will study medicine, law, or engineering profession? I leave that answer in the court. Access to higher education in Nigeria is devoid of policy of merit, but ability to pay fees, and together with who your sponsor or godfather is. Our elite give the impression that funding alone will make our higher education better, and that is not the position. The Education Ministry is responsible for the conduct, planning of our formal education, the compilation of copyrights and textbooks, and the allocation of teachers. But most importantly, the communities have no representation in the boards of education institutions. The education staff, commissioners, advisors, they advise the government on basis of educational matters while the government provides financial support. Sometime in 2013, the Nigerian federal government initiated higher education policy reform with the intention to bring university system more in line with international good practices, so they called. The reforms promote increased institutional autonomy, greater system differentiation, strengthening governance, and mechanism for quality assurance. The reform seeks to create a more visible and flexible responsive system of university teaching and research to contribute to national innovation, capacity building, and productivity, so they said. But look at what is on the ground. What is the foundation of our national education? The foundation of education in Nigeria ought to be a democratic philosophy that guarantees equal opportunity for education to every children and respect for individual ability. Besides, providing basic knowledge, the purpose of education should be to instill within the students those values and skills necessary for the regeneration of the nation. It is the goal of education not only to assist students to take a creative part in a new society, but to teach them the ability to make judgments consistent with value system of the nation. The aim of Nigerian education should promote a historical consciousness in our students, which generates pride in the nation and an awareness of our black heritage and contribution in the world. With education, we today have a pressing need for a new society, demanding the creation of awareness for the dignity of honest manual labor. There is the responsibility of using education to assist in the acceleration of industrial growth through government policy that will encourage and promote technical and vocational education. I commend, sir, that grants, student loan, and scholarship awards are out of the reach of the children of the poor. And it is something that every leader every member of the society must be conscious of. Because those who are today the administrators of a great enterprise and institutions were children of very poor parents. But they have denied access to professional courses to the children of the poor. How many drivers, how many bus conductors today we aspire that their children will go to Federal Common College? It's a dream. And when a dream becomes a pipe dream, there's restiveness in the land. All we are saying today is that the discussion is for an indictment that government planners and our leaders have not thought about the opportunity of giving access on equal basis for every Nigerian child, irrespective of your station, your parental background, or your economic disposition, to pursue your life dream. Distinguished citizens, that is the case in the People's Court. And it is about, I know that I don't know whether you come from a poor background, but you might have some contribution before I call on the citizens to now take a bite on the issue. Respectfully, sir.
Not from the poor background.
Not too rich, not too poor.
Yeah, at least I studied professional course.
Okay, so you are not in a position to make judgment.
Okay.
You have anything to say before we now, Uche, you are part of the discussion, sir.
Okay, well, one of the most surprising thing is this concept of good old days. Someone says good old days. Good old days when there were scholarship schemes, government sees that you're brilliant, sends you abroad to study, community gathers, says, okay, we have an illustrious son to be, let's send him abroad. But now, the good old days did not get to us. It didn't get to us.
That's why we're caught.
Yes. So now the big question I'm asking is, how come people who went through this scholarship fail to make it possible for
the rest,
for others? That's the issue.
As the advocate in the forum, I am here to now deal with what the responses of the people will be, so that it will be in line with the law.
Okay. And then there are, every day in our programs we hear people saying, I want to study this, I want to go to university, but there's nobody to send me. And while we will say, okay, do this to support yourself, children are not supposed to bring themselves up. In Africa, we leave the children to bring themselves up, and it's not a very good omen. Now, if you're out there, this issue concerns us all. Because when the child who cannot go to school, who cannot afford it, or who knows that he merits it, he got the grades.
The critical issue is the debarment,
Okay.
of children of the poor from studying professional courses.
It's because it's too expensive.
So what is the creative mechanism that government is putting in place to encourage and give them equal opportunity to education and their life dreams?
Okay.
Now, coming to being expensive in quotes, because of the concessional admission.
Okay.
Because when you're giving admission, they will put a concessional fee to the professional courses, which are really very expensive for the poor.
And you know, the other part is that the school fees are raised, but there's no commensurate raise in the salaries of those who pay the school fees.
That's another thing.
That's why we need social engineers,
Okay.
and that's why we are in court.
All right. We want to begin to take your call, People's Court. In case you just tuned in, this is People's
What he
Court.
has said is, he has now pointed out the lapses in the system. I don't mean taking exam to get a scholarship grant.
Okay.
Scholarship grant based on amplitude disposition is another kettle of fish.
Okay.
I'm talking about funding for education for those who are under the weather. There's two main issues that I want to address here. One is that the citizens must, you just listen to the explanation I will give as the advocate.
Yes.
The citizens of this country need education. There is no education. There is no education that you can fault. Even painting, even sitting down and gaping on beds is education.
Okay.
One thing we need to understand, who are the planners of our education? We in the court this morning is discussing the issue of professional courses in our higher education policy. How do you remove the discrimination that is looking at us in the face today and nobody is saying anything? The situation now is, if a nation is planning education policies, it will be an all-embracing platform to create equal opportunity, because that is the reason why most of the people today in Nigeria, those who are in office and those who are now retiring, benefited from a system starting from the missionary that created secondary schools, preparatory schools, teachers training colleges. It was not designed that you go there and pay concession fee.
Okay.
It was designed to give access to education of development of manpower. But specifically, as we moved on, Nigeria became independent. Zik in our region, Ahmadu Bello in the northern region, and Awolowo in the western region envisaged the development of pool of manpower to empower the regions. They created universities. Those universities was targeted to raise the bar in education and professionalism. It was not targeted to keep some people out of the system by segregation, by making it that if you cannot pay, then forget professional courses. The opportunity is that every child is given every opportunity. Then there's planning, there's good governance, that the leaders will plan for those who cannot afford it, that have the amplitude to go to the specific professional qualification. But now it does not exist. If you have no money, you better think about not being a doctor or an engineer, or if your father cannot pay. Some of us went to United States. My father was a driver. We went to United States of America, studied in America with money paid from Nigeria by a driver. Today, my own driver, the child cannot even aspire to go to federal government college. And that's why we must re-engineer the society. Because those who had the benefit of the liberal policies of creating room for those who did not have those rooms have been denied the opportunity to dream. And that is what we now need, to create funds, not only limited for those who pass amplitude tests. That is another level of assistance for the bright ones. But for the children of the poor who are interested in becoming engineers, interested in becoming architects, interested in becoming scientists, nurses, doctors, pilots, they cannot dream to get there, because there is no channel for them to have the money except their parents sell their land.
All right, let's take this.
And this is bad planning. The point I wanted to make is that the aspiration to be anything in this country will not be limited by
money. Okay.
So we must find a way to create a pool for those who want to be better than their parents.
All right. Advocate made a very serious observation. You know, your dad could not afford it, but there was a way you got the education.
Yes.
And now your driver cannot afford it.
Going to federal government college, the child cannot even dream of nearing that place.
The other part of it is, you see schools now owned by even the churches, and they're not helping the matters, because there was a church that had to send some of their pastors going because they didn't have degrees, but they have a university. And when I heard that, I was like,
the highway we are dealing with here is creating funds for those who want to better themselves, so that it could be a grant, it could be a loan. And this is what we need as part of our educational policy. It's not all these people telling you that you go to school, you go and eat, you go and all these things. These are part of internal administration of our educational system.
Okay.
So, but we need to find a way to get the matriculation pass to come on board to now do that study. If you have no money to pay school fees and you keep on complaining, the government will make a pool where you can go and borrow money and pay school fees and go to school. Thank you. You remember in this line we are talking, Senator David Mark, when he was Minister for Communication, told Nigerians that telephone is not for the poor. And it's high time the man be tried for keeping the people down. Because there's nothing good that will come from such a person. Look at his disposition. He came out and told us that the telephone is not for the poor. So who is his father? So most times we have this problem of not tracing people, not knowing what they stand for before we give them opportunity. And that's why the system will never change.
And then they will say, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
So I remember the police advert. I think one day we will take that issue where they say if you condemn the police, you hire a thug. That is not for modern. You're not giving us any alternative. Good people around to think about how we can help, because we are still coming to the issue of Medicare in this country. Every day I listen to the radio or watching television, I see hospital staffs videoing sick people in the bed and telling Nigerians to donate money so that they can be treated abroad. And every day that is done is an indictment on the leadership. I don't care whether you are a governor, I don't care you are the president. It's an indictment on the leadership that they are killing Nigerians. Because what is the cost? If you are sick in a civilized world, the first thing you get is a care. Under our laws, medical facilities can treat a patient, give him the best of care, and send the bill to the government. We must take back our community. We can't just continue to complain. We need a citizens' action plan because things are not changing. I cannot understand where you see a sick patient and turn him away because he cannot pay. Treat that person.
Deposit.
Forward the bill to the Commissioner for Social Welfare
or Gender Affairs
and bring a copy of your bill to me. We take that governor on. We have a problem in this country. Nigerians don't want to fight. They are not here. We are not. The cost of education in Nigeria is very, very low. The cost of education in Nigeria is very, very low. What the issues are is that the leadership are inept. They are not planning. That is the problem. Cost of education, by 1974, 75, I studied in a very good university in America. From pittance, my parents received as a driver and sent to me in America to go to school. It wasn't cheap, but there are avenues of helping the people who are under the economic weather to access education. The planners of our policies and government must start thinking, how do we create the pool of resources that can now give the poor access so that they can go to and pay that 200,000 without complaining, so that the planners of our university can use the fund in developing the school. If you are paying somebody 20,000, they have upgraded our economy. I will take that issue the next time. They have upgraded our economy, but it did not translate to upgrading the income of Nigerians. The economy of Nigeria is crawling. We need to open up the economy so that people will be able to earn more money. What stops you having 2 jobs? What makes it impossible for Nigerian students to go to school and work? We will change the university calendar. We will change the type of time of tutorial. We are not thinking. So that we can now join in the higher re-engineering of higher productivity in our system. The problem we are having is that you cannot put ceiling on services because so many innovative ways are coming, prices are being slashed, prices are going up in certain areas of community. I challenge any Nigerian to tell me the cost of going to university in Nigeria to study a course. When we were in primary school, going to secondary school, we had prospectus that our parents were able to now work on to know and envisage how they can fund education of their children. There's tuition fees, there's fees for what you call games fee, there's requirements of boarding and feeding of the students. Today there is no demarcation. They just send you to a dry class. You have nothing. They tell you at our own time we were eating chicken. These people are retarded. What stops us from still eating chicken? Chicken is now the cheapest meat, white meat that is on the table. But our leaders are not thinking. Thinking is a very hard business.
All right.
Law school,
Okay.
go to a medical school, go to the engineering school, go to architectural courses. Give them a data to feel their family background. How are you paying your fees? You find out that it's all the children of the rich,
Okay.
those who remained in Nigeria. But what I'm talking about is that the system of planning of our education must create room for funding education.
Okay.
University education will not be peanuts. If government want to make it free, if that part is part of their policy, that is how do you fund it? What is the value you are giving as free education? What is the components you are financing? Because there's a lot of fraud by people in offices telling us they have given you free education, and at the end of the day you don't know what free they have given you. Is it the tuition? Is it the burden? Is it the upkeep and welfare of the person going to school? Which component of it is free? Or is it the totality that is free? So what I'm talking about, we must create a special pool,
Okay.
to assist poor people to go to education, not going for entrance or passing an exam, but you loan programs, grants,
Okay.
scholarship schemes that will pay and give you opportunity without the problem of sitting and crying, where would the school fees come?
Okay. All right.
Now,
Chizoba, you wanted to say
yeah,
something?
I want to bring something and ask a question. Foreign advocate, the situation is already very critical and there is no hope for the poor. Now I want to ask, for the brilliant student, the very intelligent ones from poor background that need these grants and scholarship, but it's not forthcoming, even when they even put up exams for the scholarship and you write and maybe your name comes out, nothing comes out, they will indirectly replace your name with other people's name. What's the way forward? How do the poor now request and ask for that which is supposed to be theirs?
These are all part of our human rights.
Okay.
In our constitution, particularly in section 17, they told you what government, the parameters of what government ought to do, that is what the duty the government owes the citizen. And they turn around and tell you that chapter 2 of our constitution is not justiciable. That is what some Americans call baloney. It's something you talk to people who are not thinking. Government is about innovation. Government is about new ideas, new ways of doing things.
Okay.
Nothing is ever static. There is a decision of a court that says any item in the concurrent or exclusive or recurrent exclusive legislative list that is mentioned in the chapter 2, that it is justiciable. But what I'm saying that we should go beyond that. People should form an action group that will make demands, that will go and crusade for what they believe in, that would open up the eyes of these people. It seems that the people who are outside, are more visionary than the people who are leading them, and that's why there's nothing happening. Because our government must think about the people. The essence of government is to provide welfare, opportunity, justice, and rule of law.
Okay.
Within this template, how do you achieve the welfare of the people? If the people today who are in the helms of affairs, with the exception of maybe the governor of Enugu State, who I know his father is a millionaire, all the other people who are their fathers.
Okay.
So, and they are there enjoying. They are not thinking about lifting up and touching small people, not by donating money to them personally, creating the avenue that they can access funds without coming to thank you, you are God bless, God sent you, all those rubbish. So what I'm saying is that give me my right as a citizen.
Okay.
Bringing the parties, that is the parties that are existing, bringing them to people's court on an agenda. We will go and serve them the writ of our people's court. If they don't come here, shame on them. But the thing is that we cannot go and be invited. This is not a discussion forum where you go and invite people. This is the people's court. If you have an issue about governance and welfare of the people, sue them. You don't pay to come to this court. We will serve the processes on whosoever that you have named there. There's no immunity in this court. This is the people's court.
So if you have something agitating,
so I will ask you to sue the parties that they are not planning for the people. We go and, provided you give us the address. Some of them have no address, so we can go and serve them and tell them the day the case is coming up. Let them come here. They are not pay, we are not asking you to pay money.
Okay.
So that is why it is impossible for us to go and begin to invite people who are sleeping in their house. Come to court. This is a court. If you are agitated with what is going on, sue them to court. Bring them to people's court. You don't pay money. We advertise. The issue I am also raising here is that all these university academics that are lobbying, moving around, looking for who will appoint them vice chancellors, tell me one policy of how to give opportunity to the children of the poor to access education. All they are there is looting. They have no idea. We need creative citizens. We need people who will come to a place and change it. It's not only through architecture that you change a place. You change it by deliberate policies targeted on giving hope to those who have lost hope in the system. Institutions themselves can create programs. They should go out and find friends of the university that will bring money and create programs for the poor people who want to go to school, they can't afford it. The vice chancellors, they can do this, and the departmental heads, they can create forums to find friends of the university and set up funds to assist the poor. I'm trying to tell Nigerians is that you can bring anybody to the people's court. It's a radio court. I want some other people to emulate what I'm doing and do it somewhere else. There are all kinds of spheres of service in this world. It's not only when you are a governor that you can serve. It's not only when you are a minister. But what we are talking about, how can we open vistas and put smile on people's face and create prominence where prominence never existed? That is the essence of leadership. If you use the opportunity of this, your issue now, to open up the eyes of many Nigerians. The establishment of Nigeria Law School is elitist, is very privileged position. There is no other course. There is no other profession in this country that federal government is subsidizing. It's unique to lawyers because the institution of building the judiciary was paramount in the mind of our colonial masters. They felt that they should set it up and fund it. It is today we need to. They have been privatizing education. Why have they not privatized law school? Where are the doctors going to their medical school? Who is paying for them? What we are trying to agitate here, because that one is another issue.
For another thing.
The issue is that the law schools as they are structured today, which is not proper, the federal government should only select lawyers and pay and subsidize education for lawyers. They have not done so for pharmacists. They have not done so for teachers. They have not done so for engineers. They have not done so for any other branch of the profession.
But how subsidized is it?
When the guy is already
the issue I'm trying to bring here is that he has raised an issue. The states, let me tell you, if you are a leader and you cannot, within the tranche of 4 years you are a governor, or within the tranche of 2 or 3 years you are a local government chairman, you will not think about manpower development from your area, you are a disaster. Because that is the only way we can succeed. How do you become a governor? You don't know how many doctors that will come up from your geographical area.
Yeah.
You don't know how many engineers. You don't know how many lawyers. These are the critical issues, the instrument of development. These are the structures to build institutions. So they must create fund.
Okay.
They will tax and create fund so that the students or the prospecting students can access this fund with ease.
Okay.
It could be a loan for them. When they come out, they repay.
Yeah.
It's all part of targeting development and planning, so that the states should create money to enable their own citizens to catch up in these, what I might call, the head bridges of human development in modern industry. So we need to create fund so that they will not be going there complaining. If you are not eligible on the passing the scholastic aptitude test, but you are still under the weather economically, you can access a loan. Those who are more intelligent will smile their way to the school with payment made by the system. And I use this opportunity to challenge these people who want to be vice chancellors, or those who still think that that is the place, the pinnacle of your professorship, to think about creative ways of bringing equality in our funding of education in Nigeria.
All right, let's take
something about the People's Court is that it is your freedom square. It's an opportunity for you to criticize people who are keeping you down. It's an opportunity for you to raise issues that will develop your neighborhood, that will make you a better citizen, and then it's an opportunity for us to also find ways of assisting those who are in government so that they can govern us properly. And the government can even sue citizens here who have not paid their taxes, and we will bring it issue here because it's our responsibility to pay taxes to support the government. The government must target the children of the poor as minority group, and to provide financial pools for the financing of professional courses for the children of the poor. These are some of the ways and means of achieving the poor access to education. They can, through scholarship grants of not less than 1.5 million naira per student per year, throughout the course duration, and they can work this out with the universities. And then students loan program, government can set up a loan program. They can also use the community banks to set up a loan program where every taxpayer contributes about 5 naira every year, so that we will create this fund so that they can borrow from them. We can also create funds for serving and ex-uniformed personnel so that they can also improve themselves. They are also part of the community. There have to be dedicated loans for higher education in tertiary institutions. These monies that the government have set up, which nobody is assessing, they should open it up and use this money to help the poor so that they can pay these exorbitant school fees without complaining. The universities need money, and school fees must be commensurate with the economy of a state. And then, but we must create opportunity for higher wages and opportunity for people to borrow and then pay back when they must have gotten education, because if you have citizens that are not educated, we are going to have problem. And if we continue to have only doctors from the families of doctors and families of engineers, very soon we have an unequal society. Distinguished citizens, on this note, the People's Court will rise.